How to find thin value bets using opponent calling range. Finding thin value bets is an essential skill in poker, especially in post-flop play. To do this effectively, you need to understand your opponent's calling range. This range is the set of hands they are likely to call your bet with. The goal is to determine if your hand is slightly better than enough of those hands to make a value bet worthwhile. Start by analyzing your opponent's actions. Look at their pre-flop and post-flop betting patterns. Consider the texture of the board and their tendencies. This will help you create a range of possible hands they might hold. The wider their calling range, the more opportunities you have for thin value betting. Next, evaluate how many hands in that range your hand beats. Thin value betting means you are betting with a hand that wins just over 50% of the time when called. For instance, if your opponent's calling range includes weaker top pairs or second pairs, and you have a better top pair or a stronger kicker, you can confidently place a thin value bet. Keep in mind a few key points when deciding to make a thin value bet. First, consider your opponent's calling tendencies. Players who tend to call two often are ideal targets for thin value bets. They might call with worse hands, allowing you to profit from your slightly better hand. Your perceived range also plays a role. If your betting range appears to be weighted towards bluffs or weaker hands, opponents may call more lightly. This means you can value bet with thinner hands. The board texture is another factor. If the board has scare cards that you might be expected to bluff with, opponents may call lighter to catch those bluffs. This opens the door for thin value bets with marginal hands. Bet sizing is crucial as well. Use a bet size that encourages calls from worse hands while still extracting value. A common size is between 2/3 and 3/4 of the pot, but adjust based on the situation. Lastly, trust your read on the opponent. If you cannot assign a reasonable calling range or feel uncertain about their tendencies, it is often safer to check rather than risk a thin value bet. In practice, thin value betting requires careful analysis of both your hand and your opponent's range. For example, if you hold a hand like Queen Jack on a board of Queen, 9, 5, 8, 2, and you have shown a high bluffing frequency, a modest bet can be called by worse hands like Queen 10 or 9, 8. This makes a thin value bet profitable. Ultimately, thin value bets are about exploiting opponents who call too much and making small but consistent profits. Mastering this skill can significantly boost your winnings over time in post-flop play.